Okay, so we've been gone for a little while, but I'm just wondering, has anything interesting happened since we've been gone? I'm playing. Let's talk about the dumpster fire that happened when President Zelenskyy flew to America to meet President Donald Trump, and of course, a very overexcited J.D. Vance. Of course, I'm talking about what happened in the Oval Office, which, unless you live under a rock, you've probably seen already. But what we do on this show, on this desk, is we try and lift the curtain and take a look at all the various things going on, and essentially how the news reports the news, how we sort of decide what to talk about. It was very hard to watch this because this is very much a textbook meeting that should have happened behind closed doors. So the very fact we got to see this, I know for some it's entertaining, but in the news business, it's a head scratcher. You go, why on earth did this ever happen? In fact, what normally happens when a president visits, another president like this, and they're going to have a sort of serious meeting or a working lunch as they were planning to have, is that they would come in, maybe for 2 minutes, do like a set piece where they might take one or two questions just to sort of frame the meeting, a few pictures from the press pool, which is normally a few people. And now that's even changed. But anyways, they do that, and then they go have the meeting, they come back, they do a joint press conference, they move on. But for some reason, Donald Trump, or President Trump, has been doing this thing where he has the world leaders sit down for like 45 minutes, and he just keeps taking questions. I think because he's addicted to being on TV, but other people may have other perspectives. But anyways, this meeting should have happened behind closed doors, but it didn't happen. And so what we were treated to is something that seemed like an episode of The Office. Like my jaw hit the ground. I was like, there's no way this is happening, especially with such a sensitive, tense subject. Now, I'm going to assume some of you may not have seen this, so we'll play some of the clips, but we'll get into what may be going on here. So let's just take a look at what went down.
For 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now the President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact
2015.
2014.
2014 and 2014.
2014.
Yeah. So
I was not here.
Yeah, but
that's exactly right.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, the situation the same. The people have been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him. A lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire, all of them told me that he will never go. We signed him with gas contract, yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people, and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Count one.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military?
We have
And do you think that it's
I will
respectful
answer.
to come to the Oval Office
I
of the
will
United
answer.
States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't know
God
that.
bless. You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on this
position to
question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly what
this.
you're doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influence.
We're going to feel very
I'm
good and
telling
very
you,
strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed
From the
yourself to be in a
from
very
the
bad
very
position,
beginning
and
of
he
the
happens
war.
to be right about
From the
it.
very beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a
Brown,
good position.
I
You
was
don't have
in
the cards right now. With us, you start having
not playing
cards.
cards.
But right now, you
I'm
don't.
very
You're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War
What do you-
III.
what do you
You're
speak about?
gambling with
What do you
World
speak
War
about?
III. And
You-
what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's
with
back
all
to you.
respect to your
Far
country.
more than a lot of people said
very
they
respect.
should have.
Have you said thank you once? This
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting,
today.
have you said thank
Even
you?
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for
what-
the United States
what
of
are you speaking
America
about?
and the president who's trying to save your country.
Now, there's a lot to say about this clip, and there's a few things I don't think we've talked about too much, or I haven't seen much commentary on. One is the language barrier. I actually think what may have happened here is a real big issue with language barriers, right? In some of the things that President Zelenskyy was trying to say, which were nuanced, I think were lost and weren't quite weren't quite understood. And J.D. Vance, the ultimate sycophant, he's like that kid from school that just wants to impress the big bully by being like, did you see what I called him? You know, and you just go, mate, like, grow up. It was so sad to watch. But essentially, you had, firstly, J.D. Vance making a point that I think is a bit redundant, which is, well, the U.S. in the past have, we've done a lot of chest beating, but we haven't really, done much. And so we need to get to a stage now where actions speak louder than words, and the U.S.'s actions are more important than the words, etc. Now, Zelenskyy, in a very calm way, leans in and explains to J.D. Vance that, mate, we've had all sorts of agreements, the Minsk agreements, so many different agreements, ceasefires with Russia, and they've broken every single one. So what are you talking about that what we need is another kind of document signed? Now, I think what happened at this stage is J.D. Vance, whose tail is now between his legs, feels a bit like, oh my gosh, this guy just confronted me, made me look like an idiot, and then starts to grandstand. Oh, do you know how grateful you should be right now? You're trying to litigate this in front of the media. You shouldn't be doing so. You should be grateful to us, etc., etc., etc. Of course, that spat starts. And then the reason why I say the translation might be the problem is because what Zelenskyy was trying to say to Trump is, you guys have an ocean surrounding you, and so this imminent threat of war isn't at your borders every day. However, you will at some stage feel the influence of this war. And namely, the impact of this war, you'll feel it. That's when Trump goes, don't tell us what we'll feel, how dare you? And they kind of go back and forth. And you go, well, he's right. He wasn't saying the US is going to be at war soon. He was saying that what's happening in Europe may seem far away because we're separated by thousands of miles of ocean, but actually, the impact will be felt. And that was just lost. And what annoyed me was, one, the humiliation of a wartime leader. Two, J.D. Vance is just the ultimate beg. Just a sycophant. Just someone who you can just see all he cares about, all he's married to is his career. And in a sense, that's why him and Trump make excellent bedfellows, because essentially they're both wedded to their careers, and he'll say anything he needs to say, he'll pretend, he'll perform, whatever is gonna get him favor, he's gonna do it, and that's what he did there. And then of course, let's watch this clip about the suit. Now this especially irritated me because what a redundant question. I mean, mate, you are in a room where history is being made. You're being allowed to come in because one of the things that Trump's done as well is he's And so normally the White House, I think it's called the press correspondents, I forget their name, they're the ones who are normally in charge of picking the journalists that get to be part of the press pool. And they'll pick like, ABC, MSNBC, so on and so forth, AP, who've now been kicked out. So they'll pick those, and those guys normally are the ones who get to go into the Oval Office, go into Air Force One, etc. Those guys then sort of write newswires, if you like, and then share it with everybody else, and everybody else uses that to report their stories. What Trump has done in an aid to boost and support independent media, not really, more support right-wing independent media, is invite people into the room who historically have not been allowed there, right? Like Newsmax, for instance, which Sean Spicer is a part of. These organizations, they don't meet the kind of like media credibility sort of bar, and so they weren't historically not allowed. Now they're allowed, and you can see that it was a bad decision because you've got one loser on the side who's speaking to a president, a wartime president, going, "Do you own a suit?" A lot of people have a problem with you not wearing a suit.
Second
And
question.
my second question for President Zelenskyy: why don't you wear a suit? Why don't you wear a suit? You're at the highest level in this country's office, and you refuse to wear a suit. Just want to see if do you own a suit?
You have problems.
A lot of Americans have problems with you not
Really?
respecting
I
the
don't have
dignity of this
such.
office.
I will wear costume after this war will finish.
Okay.
Yes, maybe one.
Maybe something like this?
something like
Yes,
yours.
sir.
Yes.
That'd be great.
Maybe something better. I don't know. We will see. Maybe something cheaper than. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for.
Now, I wish Zelenskyy was English, because what he could have done in that moment has been like, mate, you are in this room at a pivotal moment in history. Your contribution is about suits. Like he should have made like an idiot. Like, why are you even in this room? Why are you here? Is this what your readers care about? Really, suits? In a time where my people are facing an existential crisis, you're asking me about suits and what suits I should wear. When Elon Musk runs around like a maniac with a random hat and a t-shirt all day, unelected, with unfettered power, where Winston Churchill, when you went to Washington during the wartime, also didn't wear a suit. I mean, the list goes on of just how ridiculous that question was, but that was annoying. Moving on, or shifting gears a bit, of course, Zelenskyy is looking for support and safety for Ukraine. And Europe, which has been a significant contributor alongside the US, are now essentially his best bet because of Trump's unpredictability. There was an emergency meeting just a few days ago in the UK where we saw a loan deal signed with Ukraine. We also saw the UK committing more money to supporting Ukraine and its defenses. Essentially, the European countries, there's an opportunity now, I suppose, to step up and be responsible for security in Europe, because Trump, unfortunately, seems to have single-handedly just changed the US's stance on Russia, changed the US's stance on global security, and his point is America first. So we need to be repaid back for every ounce of aid we've given, every ounce of support we've given. And this, of course, puts NATO into question. The UN has a big question mark around it. There's a lot of stuff being sort of thought about that historically we didn't used to think about. Now, how it will end is hard to tell because, NATO could offer Ukraine some safety assurances, anything shy of them joining NATO, but that's of course going to be a very complex process. The Financial Times, I love the term they use. They said that diplomacy, strategy, and a bit of luck are going to be what's going to be important here. I think that's the case. We have to hope at some stage that the US miraculously wake up from this slumber and Trump goes, actually, we do need to provide some sort of safety to guarantee. We can't just, invite this guy here to sign some deal on rare earth minerals that won't even take effect till I'm out of office anyway. So it's no immediate safety guarantee at all. It's true that it starts to incentivize the US to have more interest in that region. But of course, that doesn't help him right now. That whatever happens, for at least 8 years, nothing will be built in Ukraine vis-a-vis that rare earth mineral deal. So it was a bit of a red herring in that what Ukraine needs right now are safety guarantees because they've got a neighbor that absolutely wants the land, right? And so we don't really know what's going to happen there. Now, what's next for Ukraine? As I said before, the path is filled with lots of challenges. There are also opportunities for greater union and working together of the European countries, of NATO countries. But we'll be watching it, and we'll be seeing what happens with Donald Trump, because famously folks say, well, he's just fiery. He'll probably call Zelensky next week and say, let's move forward. And what a odd, childish way to do democracy, right? To do diplomacy, rather, where it's just these random spats and comments. I mean, I miss the days of slow, considered diplomacy, but hey, that's me. If you like this video, let us know in the comment section. What do you think is happening with Trump, right? What do you think is going to happen next? What do you think Zelensky ought to do next? Let us know. As ever, like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so, and I'll see you in the next video.